from FingerLakes1.com. Welcome to another Sunday Conversation. I'm Josh Durso, and today I am joined by Marie Montgomery and Diane Draheim. Both are with the Seneca Cayuga Community Action Agency. That is a mouthful. We're going to talk a little bit about the name and maybe some changes on that front. Thank you both for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So, all right, first things first. Let's get into that. There's a little bit of a rebranding effort, it sounds like, that you guys are sort of working through right now.
There is. On May 20th, we unveiled our new name, our new logo. For some people, it may actually look very familiar. We started out in 1965, some may remember, but we started out in 1965 as Cayuga Community Action Program, for short, CAP. So we were CAP for about 30 years. In 1995, we changed our name to reflect the fact that we had also become the acting community action agency in Seneca County as well as Cayuga County. So at that time, we became Cayuga Seneca Community Action Agency. As you said, a mouthful, and oftentimes confused with some other agencies that also serve both counties. So last year, as a result of our strategic planning process, we decided it was time to listen in one way or another to what people that knew us as CAP had been kind of saying all along. Well, you're CAP to us. You'll always be CAP to us. So we have gone back to that. Our new name, Community Action Programs, Cayuga Seneca, was unveiled. So we are once again CAP for short. So as a staff person of almost 20 years, I can appreciate being able to quite easily say now I'm from CAP, and people will understand what that means. Cayuga Seneca was very long, very hard to say, so we're very excited about that. So you'll see new signage in front of all of our buildings, and more to follow. New website, which is still having the finishing touches, but that's www.caphelps.org. So that'll be kind of our new tag for emails and websites and whatnot. Cool. So we're very excited. Yes.
So on the branding side, I would imagine that sort of simplifying things makes it easier for you guys to actually gain that awareness and sort of help people understand what it is you guys do. And you guys do a ton, as we're going to get into. But on that side of it, obviously both of you have been involved for a while. What's been the reception so far as you guys have sort of worked through this not only the redesign process, but then the unveiling to the community?
It's too soon to tell. It's only been about a week, and then a holiday weekend thrown in there. But I know the perception amongst the staff and the people that we work with on a regular day-to-day basis has been very positive. Our board is enthusiastic about promoting the new name. Many of them have been in the community long enough to remember us as CAP. So, you know, and when they talk to people, as much as we all tried, the Cayuga Seneca Community Action Agency, which you can't say any other way but that. Right. As much as we tried, CAP.
CAP.
Yes,
always CAP.
Yes, CAP. You're right.
Yeah.
We tried. We gave it a good go, for many years. So
I came back Tuesday morning to 3 emails saying, it's about time. I've never called you anything different. It's time. So, yeah, which I thought was great.
Yep. Seneca County has been particularly loyal to the CAP, the CAP umbrella and what we do and what our main goal is.
So before we get into all the different programs that you guys work through, let's talk about what you guys do, what each of your roles are with CAP. So let's start with Diane, and then we'll throw it back over to you. Diane, talk to us a little bit about what your role is with CAP.
I'm the Seneca Programs Director, which means that I take care of the programs, the people, what's going on in the Seneca office, which is located in Waterloo. As we said, we have many programs. We don't have quite as many as Cayuga, but you never know. We're kind of growing a bit. We do everything from, we have food pantries and baby pantries, and we have we do case management. We help people try to figure out why they're running out of money before the end of the month. We have different grants that we get that we're able to help with things like gas and electric, things like housing. We also have a car seat safety program. We have people who are trained to put in car seats correctly. We have the Healthy Families program over here, which is very good, and they're actually going to, we've had them for a while, but now they have a home space that they can come and sit down, although mostly they're on the road going to see their families, so that's good. We actually, through Food Link, because we are doing a Healthy Pantries initiative, which is to get more healthy foods in. We do a mobile pantry, which we're trying to get more volunteers for. Actually, I'm trying to get more volunteers for a lot of things, so put that out there. If anybody's looking for things to do,
get involved.
Please come and see us. Yeah. Because there is a lot to do. And, I always say to people, we'll find the right niche for you. I'm not, it's not going to be like, well, you have to do this. You have to fold clothes for 8 hours. No, it doesn't have to be that. We can find what you like to do, and you're not married to us, so you can come and go. So
very cool. Anne Marie?
I'm actually the deputy director at the agency. I've worked in that capacity for about 5 years. I oversee program directors such as Diane and over in Cayuga County, as well as Diane over here in Seneca County. So my role is to help them work through their contracts, their grants, help them with everything from how to find new training for staff, to managing the money in and out. So it's a big umbrella. I came to the agency, as I said, almost 20 years ago, and I came on board as the weatherization director. Very interesting. Other than helping my father on the farm, I really didn't have a sense for what weatherization was, but it was a fascinating program, and I loved every minute of it. So, and I got a chance to really learn a lot about the agency, and what our goal is to help root out the causes of poverty, help alleviate the conditions of poverty. That's what it's all about. So whatever's happening in the community, whether it be the Seneca County communities or the Cayuga County communities, we do a thorough needs assessment of both communities every 3 years. So we have an opportunity to listen to what the key stakeholders are saying, customers, our community partners, what the emerging issues are, what the issues are that haven't been solved yet, that we still work on, and try and find out the best way to work with community partners, and as well as the clients that walk through the doors, getting them involved and making their community a better place to live in. So it's a big job, but we're busy, and the days and weeks go by fast, and we love what we do. So,
and I'm sure at times you'd love to be able to clone yourself and to be able to 2, 3,
Pretty
4,
much
5,
every day.
6 times.
Yeah, I guess that's job security though, in a way.
So you mentioned needs of the community. You're sort of always reevaluating as an organization. What are the needs? What do you guys see as sort of general needs in communities like Seneca and Cayuga?
I'll let Diane speak to what she hears in Seneca, and I'll.
Okay. Well, two of the things that I really think that there is a need for, and also, let me say this, I think that it always works better if you have community partners, and, so that absolutely is true. But in the Auburn site, they have a program called Kinship Program, which is for like grandparents, aunts, uncles, people who are taking care of other people's children. And I find a real need for that in this county right now. We have so many people come in who are, just all of a sudden they've got their grandkids, or they've got their sister's kids, or they've got whatever. And it's a huge life change for everyone. So I would like to have something like that. That's something I'm hoping to definitely get. I also think, there's a huge problem with drugs in this area. And again, even if you start with things like support groups, but, and I know there are other things around there, but families who are going through that, they need that help. And they, and there are a lot of families that are going through that in every part of Seneca County. So those are two things that I would absolutely put my finger on. And then we just have all the normal day-to-day problems that go on, like, housing and things like that, affordable housing, affordable good housing, things like that are always a challenge. But like I said, I like to get to know our different partners, like to work with them, and, just see if we can think of some new ways to do things.
I think in Cayuga County, as Diane said, we are fortunate enough to have the Kinship Program, which does offer support and ongoing case management for families that suddenly find themselves transformed into a family with young children and all that comes with that, especially if they were retired and their own children are gone, and that's a huge life change. We see over and over again prevailing issues with lack of transportation, lack of adequate daycare, lack of daycare during appropriate shifts. We also are seeing a huge need from local employers for trained people that can come into the workforce and start filling some of these job vacancies. There are job vacancies, so they're looking for people trained. We do have some programs in Cayuga County, employment pathways. We also have Ticket to Work, and we have those programs that can help people that are trying to either re-enter or enter for the first time the job market and lack those skills. We can connect them with the local BOCES, with other training programs, local colleges that can assist them with getting those base level skills so they can enter the workforce. So we do have partnerships with employers, and that seems to be the best way to go, so that we can align prospective candidates with the needs of that employer. So that's those are emerging programs for us, so we're very excited to be able to do that. And but that seems to be the ongoing and biggest needs right now.
And how much of what you guys do is sort of dedicated to just letting people know what is available, what different kinds of help actually exist? Because given how much help is available out there and how few people you guys actually have dedicated to it, does it become challenging sort of letting everybody know, or at least putting it out there so that people can get to it if they feel they need it, or maybe if they're just not sure?
Right. One of the main platforms of what we do in both counties is resource and referral. The case managers and advocates dedicate a lot of time to searching out the best possible resources to match up customers with. We don't do it all. We don't come close to doing it all. We have a few dozen programs. That changes on a regular basis depending on the community needs and what we're searching for. But if someone comes in and we aren't able to help them with their immediate need, then we are very well versed in what's going on in the community. Both communities have excellent resources and guides, but again, unless you're in that situation, it can be a very tangled web. So we try very hard to help shepherd families or individuals through that as best we can, point them in the right direction, help them make the appropriate contacts. And again, working with community partners makes all the difference in the world, knowing what we all do, because we all do a ton, but connecting families with the right resources is critical, to them moving towards that economic security that they are all looking for.
So, Dan, I want to ask your perspective just in terms of, obviously, Cayuga and Seneca are pretty similar in how they're laid out, the county. Very rural at the south, a little more connected at the north. How much of a challenge, or what kind of challenge does that present when you're going through sort of administering all the programs that Seneca County offers?
Well, transportation is definitely a huge issue. One of the programs I forgot to mention, and I don't want to do that because I even oversee it, but it's the Health Navigator, so for the New York State Health. And one of the ways we take care of the fact that people don't have transportation is we have a navigator on site in the office on a couple of days, but she also goes to Oban, and she also goes to Lodi, and she also, I forget all the places she goes. She goes a lot of places.
She travels a lot.
She travels, yes. And then in Auburn, we have one who will go to Cato, and she'll go to Sodus, and she'll go, so that's one way we take care of problems like that. And then I talked about the mobile pantry, and that's something I'm trying to get going even more in Seneca. And that is, like, people hear mobile pantry, they think of the big food link truck that comes up. This is not that sort of thing. This is a delivery of food for people who maybe have no other way to get there. Maybe they're too elderly, they can't drive anymore, they're just out of the hospital, they don't have a car, they live in Lodi and they don't have a car. So there's things like that. So that program has been, that's kind of just really taking off good in Seneca. But those are the ways we attach them. But transportation, that does become a problem. I mean, even just for people coming to get food, if they ride the bus, the closest bus stop to us is a half a mile away. If you're trying to lug bags of groceries and walk a half a mile, and hopefully the weather's nice, maybe you've got a couple kids with you, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you mentioned access to food obviously is one issue, housing, substance use disorders, you have all these different mental health challenges as well, all these different issues sort of overlapping, and then you throw the transportation item on top of that, and obviously there's stigma, but how do you sort of cut through the mindset that unfortunately some people still have where they just assume, well, that's not happening here, that's not happening in my community? That insulation, and you're both sort of chuckling and nodding your heads, so I know I'm onto something here. How do you guys cut through that to let people know that yes, this is real, this is not some imaginary thing that we're just talking about and doing for the fun?
One of the great innovative ways the agency has used to break through and actually deliver the appropriate message and the realistic message is by doing what we call poverty simulations. We've done these in both counties. We've done them with the Waterloo School District, and who else?
We did it
here in Seneca.
I don't know. It was probably before me.
Oh, okay. I know we've done it twice in Seneca County. I think through the school districts.
Oh, maybe
both
Seneca
times.
too. Yeah.
I believe so. And then in Cayuga County, we've done several. We've done one with what's called the All Auburn Churches Group, and then we did another one for East Hill Medical, I believe, and did another one just for our own staff. And we always encourage our own staff to attend if they're new staff and they haven't gone. And what this is an hour-long simulation of what it's like to be poor, and it basically takes you through an entire month. And people are divided into groups and they're given a different family scenario. It could be a kinship arrangement, it could be a single mother of two, it could be any number of different family dynamics, and you're kind of given what your situation is. So you go through, each 15 minutes represents a week in the life of, and you're put through these different tasks of going to different places and trying to find services, getting to work, getting to daycare. And I'll tell you, at the end of that hour, I can't tell you how stressful it is and how stressed out you are. And you just, And the comments and the feedback have been, I had no idea. Oh, I think I'm going to look at this differently. Really, the responses we were looking at, so driving by and saying something like, well, why don't those people just, going through that hour, you understand why it's literally impossible in many cases if you don't have the type of support and the resources that you need. So that resource and referral is critical because there are resources out there. There are case managers that can help you determine which resources will best suit the situation that you're in and make the biggest impact, and then help you take that resource and make the most out of it so that you can use it to get to the next step, not just stay stuck where you are. So that's what our case managers are striving to do, is to solve that crisis, get over the hump, and start working towards stability and eventually self-sufficiency and economic security.
Is there an element of fragility here where people don't quite appreciate or understand just how quick and easy it is to go from comfortable to living on the edge to just not making things work anymore?
I think
and how
so, yeah.
quick that turnaround can be?
I think there really is, and I think that's one spot where actually with the poverty simulation I see, because like I recall I was a daycare. I was a daycare, and the person they have like pretend money and stuff, so they have to pay you.
Yeah.
And except that they would pull little scenarios, and she had to come early to pick up her child because her child had head lice. Then she had to get to the doctor. Then she didn't have enough money to pay me. She didn't have enough money for transportation. She didn't have a phone. Her phone didn't have minutes, so she had to walk. And she was like, "This is impossible. How would anyone do this?" And I said, "People do this every day. This is the life."
And I think the term living paycheck to paycheck, there's enough people that have heard that term and probably felt they were there. So it only takes that one car breakdown. It only takes that one no-sitter because your child is sick and can't go to daycare. So now you have to stay home. And now that's the second time in a month, so you lose your job. And those are real daily occurrences for people. So, living paycheck to paycheck, I think, kind of says it, but it's not even, there's many people that have been there, but when you have absolutely nothing to fall back on, many people don't, like in the olden days, have their aunt living next door or around the corner, or, families are so mobile, and now you don't have that extended family around you. So these, what we would consider little crises, are huge and can be life altering. It can be a $200 car repair that's it. That broke the bank. Now there's, like Diane said, now there's no money for the gas and electric bill, the daycare provider, and we're done. And
there's
very
lots
helpless,
of
frustrating feeling.
Yeah, there's lots of people who actually have gone their whole life, never needed anything like this, and then one of them gets seriously ill. And if you have an illness, that can literally wipe you out. And everything you've saved, everything you've had, everything you thought you were going to retire on is suddenly gone. Yeah. And then you see older people in the workforce.
or domestic, or cases of domestic violence.
Yes,
we have
because
domestic violence intervention programs.
People don't.
That situation can take you from, everybody's working and kids are in school, to all of a sudden you are out on the street with the clothes on your back, your children, nothing, no car, nothing. And that is a life-altering.
Yeah, it's extremely stressful.
Very traumatic situation, and not easily overcome. It takes sometimes years to come back and actually feel like you are safe and secure again. So
I was going to say that's one of the things I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about. In terms of success stories, or the stories that make you feel good about the service that you guys provide, what's the sort of what does the timeline look like for somebody who is in that situation where they maybe it's not domestic violence, but maybe they had an illness, they're healthy now, but a lot of stuff happened between then and now. What's the timeline look like? What do those success stories look like?
I mean, it really depends on the person. You really don't know what the timeline's going to be. And I think one of the things, because I worked at this agency back when they were capped the first time. I've actually been through 2 rebrandings.
Oh, nice.
But at that point, I don't think we were quite as focused on case management. We did some of it, but I think a lot of it was more because we're very new to it, and it was a lot of putting the Band-Aids on things and taking care of things that way. Now you find that we're really trying to work through a lot of different problems, and it really does just depend. I had a heart transplant 5 years ago in September, so I would say it takes over 5 years for most of the time. I would definitely say that, yes.
And I think that's kind of been, what everybody has come to realize, that it's not enough to just get someone out of the ditch. You got to make sure that they make it all the way home.
Yeah.
So we are trying to cover that spectrum, either in-house or through referring, where we're not just going to get you out of the ditch, we're going to make sure you get all the way home. Now, whether that's a mile down the road or 10 miles down the road, it is truly different for everyone, depending on their circumstances, their support systems, helping them build a support system of their own so that they can rely on that moving forward. So it really does depend, but we're committed to making sure that we're trying to be there if they want us to be, for as long as they need us to be.
So to kind of highlight just how much all these issues overlap, I want to ask one sort of crystal ball question. If you could take one of these issues, one of these challenges, and just eliminate it, it's gone, it's not an issue anymore, transportation, housing, whatever the case may be, what kind of effect would it have on all of the other issues and all of the other challenges that you guys are having to deal with on a daily basis?
The trick would be picking the right
one. I know, it would be
it's
the
like
trick.
A big Jenga.
Yeah.
How difficult would it be, and what do you think, if you were making a good educated guess, what would be one that you think would have the best effect?
Personally, I feel as it's not pretty, but for me it feels like transportation.
I agree.
Because if you can't get to where the services are, then what good are they?
Yep.
So, and in Cayuga County, we're a very long county, and everything is very centrally located. Yeah. So the jobs are centrally located, the services are centrally located. So, if you can provide all the mental health services you want, but if somebody that lives in Fairhaven can't get to them, then
when you're talking a 30 or 35 minute car ride.
Absolutely,
yeah. Right.
Absolutely, and you don't have a car, so but you might have a friend that can help you out once in a while, and we find a lot of that. There's a lot of very giving, caring, generous people, but everybody has their limits to what they can do. So I feel like it's transportation.
I do too, and it's on one hand, housing is important, but if they can't even get to go look at the house, if they can't,
right.
None of those things are going to help at all.
Right.
And that is such a big, expensive problem to try and deal with. Is that something that you guys is that something that you're hopeful that will be resolved or fixed, or the right solution will be brought forward in the coming years, or is it something where it doesn't look as good as it could?
We have to get the right people talking about it, and that's one of the things that's a piece of our strategic plan, is to try and get the right people at the table to start talking about the issue, and how far-reaching it is, possible solutions, brainstorming, whatever that looks like.
I think all the legislatures need a nice poverty simulation.
Right. And we have had some lawmakers and local officials attend, but the poverty simulation is such a powerful tool to really show people what it's like to live in need and not have your basic needs met or just barely met, but then you need something else. So, yeah.
So I want to hone in on the transportation arm of this a little more since we're already going there. Perception versus reality in terms of what good transportation is. I live in Rochester. So, you know, for about a year and a half, we lived right near a bus stop, and I saw how frequently the bus was there. It was almost 2 to 3 times an hour at different parts of the day. You come into some of these more rural communities, Seneca County, grew up in Seneca County, 1 or 2 bus stop, you know, 1 or 2 stops a day at certain bus stops, kind of like a 1 or 2 bus system, it seems like. And some folks think that's good transportation. But it sounds like what you guys are saying, and again, we're getting that head nod. Walk us through why that isn't the right solution and why that type of solution just isn't going to cut it if we're really going to make a dent in this problem.
Well, I mean, I just think it needs to be more, like, I think it goes to Walmart a couple times. It goes to the county office building a couple times. It goes to the corner of, I want to say Virginia and 20. I'm not sure. I think something like that. That's the half a mile tar building. But that's right here. That's not Lodi. It's not even the end of 89. I mean, what do you do if you live down on 89? You know, there is such a thing as dial a ride. It's $3 each way. And you can't have too much stuff with you, and you can't have too many kids with you, and you can't, you know. So it's like, and people say, well, they could take cabs. Those are outrageous. Those are a really lot of money. But the other thing about the buses, they don't run particularly long hours. They don't run on the weekends. You know, and a lot of jobs around here are weekend jobs, especially Outlet Mall. You know, but really any of the stores.
Odd hour jobs on top of that.
Yeah,
right.
It's hard.
Exactly. And I mean, we have Centro in Auburn and Cayuga County. Centro will make a couple of runs to accommodate, I think, Moravia Correctional Facility down in Moravia. But again, it's maybe once or twice a day, and then again at the end of the day, but not necessarily at night, you know, after the night shift, and not on the weekends. And the ones in the city, you would have to time it just right. And so you may be getting on a bus an hour early to get to your job, a half an hour early, because the next bus won't get you there on time. So it's...
And if you don't get out on time, you miss the bus.
You miss the bus. So it's really not... It's okay for certain things, and it's great for certain things, but it really doesn't accommodate the off hours, the odd shifts, the rural nature. It would have to be, I would think, it's going to have to be a multi-community, multi-pronged approach. But again, that's what you have to do, is you have to get those people to the table and start talking about what would happen and what would work in the northern part of the county. The northern part of the county, you know, they can go to Fulton or Oswego, but for county services, they still need to come to Auburn. So what would work? And it would have to be a multi-pronged approach, and everybody would have to figure out the best way their community can deal with it. To some extent, if you could get Centro to add more routes, but that takes a lot of signatures and a lot of promises, and you know, if they can't recoup, you know, their investment in that route, then that route isn't going to continue. So it's not enough to just add more routes. It's got to be more than that.
Would a system like that also have to be a multi-county system in theory, since a number of folks are probably working or going outside of the county. Take Seneca County as an example. There's no hospital here.
Right.
So, you're going to Ontario County or Yates County or Cayuga County if
Right.
you're going to the hospital. Would that have to be a consideration as well, you think?
It would probably down the way it would have to be. I see it definitely as being a problem that takes a lot of heads, but I also see it as something that people need to look at, just not as, well, this is a convenience for poor people. I see this as an economic advantage for both counties.
Right.
I mean, if people can get to jobs, they're working them. If they work, they have money.
Right.
I mean, it just really only makes sense.
Well, and I think you can
people
look
there.
at any successful busing system and see that people of means use it as well. It's not
Yeah.
something that just those
Yeah.
in poverty are.
Frankly,
Right,
I would use
right.
it if they had it.
Convenience,
I would.
right?
Absolutely.
So looking ahead as we sort of wrap this up, I'm a little bit curious. What do you guys sort of see as the big opportunities in the next couple of years to really make some headway and to keep making progress, whether it be in Seneca County or Cayuga County?
Well, I think one of the things that we're really looking forward to is opening our shelter in
That's
Seneca
right.
County. No, we do not have a date. We're not ready to post pictures or give tours. Y'all will be about the
Be patient.
It'll be
about
soon
the
now.
20th to know after all of us
Yeah.
do. But they're putting the finishing touches on it. We're expecting a certificate of occupancy soon. So stay tuned, and we're really looking forward. That's another opportunity. It's like Diane said, the case management. It really takes working with families. There's many people that are lacking through no fault of their own, maybe even some basic living skills, how to manage their money or balance a checkbook. It's not fun. It's it's hard work. But having the support, that's really our opportunity, is working one-on-one with the families. Our rebranding, we're hoping that really, helps us to identify more quickly, not only with clients, but also with our donors and with our community partners. And that's really, the opportunities are going to be partnerships where we can start these conversations or continue these conversations. It can't be one agency.
No.
We've all got to, municipalities and communities and human service organizations. So, that opportunity to continue. And there's been over the years more of a push to regionalize opportunities. So if you can get on board, which we have with those regional efforts for economic inclusion and economic security, then you're having those big conversations with the right people at the table, and you can have the impact. So that's where we're looking to focus, is working one-on-one with families and making sure that the right stakeholders are at the table to really tackle some of these pervasive issues.
And of course, Diane, you're looking for volunteers. So
I am looking
how
for
can
volunteers.
someone, if they have some extra time to give, how can they get involved?
They can, we have an application. They can simply get in touch with me. We will send them one, or we will email them one, and they can fill it out, and we will snap them right up.
Appreciate the time, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thank
Thank you.